There is a host of new PS5 games on the horizon that will be sure to make the most of your new PlayStation 5. And if you want to know exactly when you will get your hands on them, you are in the right place. Today I will be showing you some of the new upcoming PS5 games. So before jumping into the video, if you haven't given your love to that subscribe button, please make sure to do that. The first one we have the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Square Enix has revealed a new trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, and there's a good deal of new story and gameplay to enjoy before the upgrade releases on June 10. The new trailer previews fan favorite Yuffie, Kisaragi, and new character Sonam Kusakabe's story before they met up with Cloud Cove. We also have our first look at the new Fort Condor minigame, and we get to see more of Ramos Summon, as well as a boss fight with a giant match piloted by Scarlet. Finally, the new trailer reveals the remake's version of a mysterious Nero, the stable from Dirge of Cerberus. And the next one we have Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. The game jumps between Rivet and Ratchet as the two Lombaxes battle through a number of contrivances to meet up with each other, occasionally expounding on their own inner turmoil along the way. The story really picks up though with the introduction of Kit, the alternate universe counterpart to Clank. In the next one we have Alex Kidd in Miracle World, which is a 2D platform game. The player must finish levels and overcome obstacles and puzzles in both scrolling and single screen environments. Throughout the 17 stages, Alex faces many monsters and the three henchmen of Janken the Great. Before facing Janken himself, Alex's punching ability is used to destroy enemies and to break rocks in order to access new paths and to collect items such as money, which can then be used to purchase other items including vehicles such as motorbikes and helicopters. At the end of many stages, Alex plays Janken pawn with one of Janken's henchmen. Alex dies with one hit or by losing a game of rock, paper, scissors. In the next one we have Scarlet Nexus, which is an action role-playing game played from a third-person perspective. Players can assume control of either Yuito, Sumeragi, or Kasane Rendell, members of the other suppression force, who are tasked to defend New Himoka from creatures known as Others. While they are equipped with short-range weapons like a sword, both Yuito and Kasane possesses the ability of psychokinesis, allowing them to hurl objects and debris at hostile enemies. The protagonist's powers can be upgraded through accessing the brand map, which serves as the game's skill tree. As players progress, they would encounter different party members who would assist them in combat. Each companion has their own unique combat abilities, which can then be acquired by the protagonist through an ability named Brandlink. And coming up next, we have Curved Space, which is an intense, arcade-style twin-stick shooter that takes the classic formula and plunges it into the weirdest reaches of space. Battle cosmic space invading spiders across curved landscapes where bullets hug the terrain while the horizon drops sharply out of sight. And the next one is Solar Ash. In Solar Ash, the player journeys through the Ultra Void, a ravenous rift in space-swallowing worlds. It's a place of incredible danger and surreal spaces, a dream none can escape. Familiar though alien, lush but grotesque, peaceful at times and supremely violent in others. Our characters must find solace in each other to make it through the spiral of despair they find themselves trapped in. And coming up next, we have Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights, which takes place in a world plagued by everlasting rain. Not only is it extremely damp, but the rain is a corrupting force, turning people into undead. You play as a young child, the last surviving priestess from an unknown sect, with the ability to summon and control the spirits of the dead. She searches for answers and the origin of the rain. And coming up next, we have Where the Heart Leads. On the kind of a stormy night that can change a person's destiny, an enormous sinkhole opens in the middle of Whit Anderson's farm. Braving the rumbling thunder and the driving rain, Cassie, their curious golden retriever, ventures too close to the gaping maw and tumbles in. Desperate to save her, Whit descends into the darkness and emerges in a realm beyond his imagination. In this strange world, consistently shifting like the stops and the starts of a dream, Whit bears witness to the story of his life and gains the power to change it. And the next one is F1 2021. The game will introduce a story mode called Breaking Point, which features the returning fictional driver Devon Butler. According to a statement by Codemasters, Breaking Point immerses players into the glamorous world of Formula One, giving a taste of the lifestyle both on and off the track. The rivalries, emotion, and dedication needed to compete at the highest level. For the first time in career mode, it is now possible for two players to play career mode together. As the game is based on the 2021 Formula One season, the game will introduce rookies Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin, and Yuki Tsunoda. Both Alpine and Aston Martin will also appear in the game because both Renault and Racing Point, respectively, previously featured on F1 2020, have been rebranded for this season. And coming up next, we have Crystals. The game is a turn-based RPG along with the ability to time jump, both on the map and in battle, affecting the gameplay. Each playable character has their own unique abilities. The most attractive mechanic consists on the manipulation of time. The screen is split into three sections, showing the present in the center, the past on the left, and the future on the right. During the story, Crispell must complete a series of missions with the help of Matthias, where she must use the crystal powers to make time jumps and making some actions at the past or the future. In battle, Crispell can summon the crystal powers to send enemies to the past or the future, altering their characteristics, in which the player can use it to take advantage. The battles are carried out using commands to select attacks, skills, or items, in addition to making the precise pressing of buttons during attacks, allowing doing more damage to enemies or receive less damage. And the next one, we have Little Devil Inside. The game takes places across multiple locations with differing environmental conditions, including desert, snow, forest, mountains, swampland, and deep-sea diving. Although an overall map is available, players cannot fast-forward their travel to these locations. Instead, they must take direct control of their transportation during the journey and respond to events that occur on the way. Players also have the ability to upgrade their transportations as the game progresses. Between missions, players can return to the safety of the game's hometown to rest and prepare to further adventures, such as talking with NPCs, gathering information on the next location through library research, and preparing for its weather condition. The Euros is on the way, the Olympics is coming up, but the first sporting game release of the summer belongs to Tour de France 2021, the official video game of the third most watched sporting event in the world. At first glance, Tour de France 2021 looks much the same as the last year's game. The inclusion of a clear stripped stream will be one of the first things you notice, but other areas may take a while for you to realize, like more realistic peloton behavior and a new recovery mechanic. The gameplay may be more or less the same, but for die-hard fans who know the Tour inside out, having this year's route that starts in Brittany is perhaps a key factor. For first-timers, seeing every single competitor look virtually identical may not entice you, but besides, you will spend most of the time looking at the back of their head. In the last one, we have Lost Stop. Set in present-day London, the game centers on three characters, John, Donna, and Mina, whose worlds collide in the midst of a supernatural crisis, an anthology drama. Lost Stop is three stories in one. The themes of the game involve a focus on secret lives, the ties that bind, and how magic can be found in the mundane. Lost Stop is a third-person game where players control one of three main characters by deciding what they should say and performing a variety of mini-game interactions.